Good evening, folks. I hope you're having a great time this evening. This is Bill Binka from ATMakers, and tonight we're going to have a very interesting, aggressive, experimental experience with our robotics kids. So I am going to share 4 different teams from FRC, from FIRST Robotics competition, who have worked with ATMakers over the past year. And oh, now see, I told you this was experimental. Somebody's got their mic on. Let's assume it was me, but it probably wasn't. It's probably Eric. All right. Are we still good? Everybody good? Okay. So we're going to talk about what they've done over the past year, and we're going to show the videos that they made for their chairman's competition program, for what they were going to do to submit to the chairman's award for FRC. That competition got canceled this year, which really kind of sucks. It really, especially the timing on it. It was canceled for some kids in this group a half an hour or an hour and a half before they were about to present. Other kids in this were about to host a competition the next day, and it was canceled for them as well. So it was really tough. And we got Wendy Austin from FIRST. We'll talk to her in a little bit about this. But it was enough that I thought these kids need an opportunity to share what they've done, because they've done some amazing things this year. And it's been a tough year. We've had not just the COVID stuff. We've had other things go on over the past year that have been kind of brutal. So I kind of feel for them. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time right now on COVID-19. I am going to have a section at the end where we get to talk to the kids about what they are going to be doing over the next few weeks. I got a note just now that says they don't see me on Facebook. It says unable to connect. Well, I do want to do that everywhere. So let me make sure while it's only me that's being interrupted, let me see if I can manually start this. It says waiting for live video. There's my key. Believe it or not, this is the first time I have done any streaming to multiple platforms from Zoom. So we will see if we can get this started and turn this on. So hopefully this will kick in here and start going live. And if it does, it does. And if it doesn't, we will post a recorded version to Facebook when it is ready. It says unable to connect, which is just garbage. So one more try here. So this is a restream problem. If anybody knows how restream works, it is something that broadcast what you're trying to broadcast in order to get it to multiple places at one time. And we really didn't want to just do this on Facebook, because we have people who don't use Facebook at all. We want to make sure that they can watch it on YouTube or Twitch or things like that. And look, we are live. See that? All right, nothing like a little bit of extra drama at the beginning. I hope that didn't bother anybody that much, but we are now live on Facebook as well. And I will figure out what on earth I did wrong on that later. So let's get started. We've got all the teams here. I'm going to change the order. I hope you guys don't mind. I was going to start with Penn, but I haven't seen that the right people are here yet. So if you don't mind, Riptide, Roaring Riptide, could you guys turn your cameras on? Look at that. That worked great. That worked wonderful. So you guys can unmute as well. So this is a selection of the kids from the Roaring Riptide, team 4118 in Gainesville, Florida, PK Young, not experimental school. Leanne, what's it? You're muted. What is the, it's not called experimental school. What's PK Young called?
Developmental Research School.
Developmental Research School. It is also closely affiliated with the University of Florida. And it's our oldest partner, right? I mean, Leanne, you and I have been doing things, and Dan Frank, who you'll meet in a moment, I've been doing things on AT since before ATMakers existed, right? Your kids have been working on Go Baby Go and on just all kinds of cool stuff for years. And this year you have a bunch of stuff you've done that was, some of it was with us, some of it was with other groups. But if you don't mind, I'd like to show your chairman's video and then come back to you guys and talk about it. I'll give you a chance to share how this year went and how you feel about it, and whether or not you know, you're going to do it again next year. How about that? So I'm going to, by the way, I am well, I think I've already said this, I am well outside of my comfort zone on all of this. So that's life. I'm going to share this with the optimized from video clip and cut to your movie. All right, let's see if this works.
Lifeguards on deck!
We are community leaders,
Problem solvers.
Makers.
More than robots.
The lifeguards of 4118. Roaring Riptide.
Roaring Riptide is based out of PK Young, a K-12 one-school public school district located in Gainesville, Florida.
One of the things that I really treasure about the Roaring Riptide is their constant involvement in all kinds of events across our campus.
Designing STEM activities and demoing at info sessions such as the Fall Carnival, Homecoming Parade, and at the Tumbling Creek Art and Science Festival, Riptide hopes to encourage families and students to see that they too can make a splash with Riptide. Beyond our school, Riptide demos at the University of Florida, Cade Museum, UF Innovate, Touch a Truck, Gainesville Mini Maker Fair, local businesses, and the county fair. From community events to assisting FIRST teams, it's our mission as lifeguards to help others. Riptide mentors 2 First Lego League junior teams, 3 First Lego League teams, in addition to partnering with 1 community-based FIRST Tech Challenge team. Through our school-based feeder teams, we have trained 7 out of 17 of Riptide's current lifeguards. We also assist other FRC teams through our FLOAT program, which stands for Fostering Longevity of Adjusting Teams. Since 2016, we've traveled over 2,000 miles to aid 6 North Florida teams with everything from sharing our tips for a successful season to competition preparations. Mentoring and partnering aren't the only way we look out for others. We also share our imagery resources from our rebranding efforts with FIRST teams on Chief Delphi and our team website. Beyond supporting FIRST teams, Riptide saw a connection between assistive technology and FIRST, impact, diversity, and inclusion. We believe that the core values of FIRST overlap entirely with the purpose of AT. Assistive Technology, or AT, is designed to increase accessibility and improve the quality of life for people with disabilities. Since 2015, Riptide has assisted, mentored, and hosted 20 maker-style workshops to adapt 619 toys for children with limited motor control.
The experience of helping people with disabilities and figuring out how to create solutions for people with disabilities extends way beyond being in high school or college or anything. It extends into life, and really what we all need to do a better job at is kind of helping each other, and that's what we're all doing.
In the last 2 years, we've broadened our AT outreach to include the launch of our First with AT initiative and Tidal Wave of AT Kit program, while also supporting our longtime partner ATMakers with the IntelliKeys Beta Adapter program. Thanks to ATMakers, Makers Making Change, and FRC Team 6413 Degrees of Freedom, we've already piloted our Tidal Wave of AT kits to 6 FRC teams, 1 FTC team, as well as AT specialists in New York and Tel Aviv, Israel. Over the past 5 years, Riptide has volunteered 4,700 hours and traveled 6,269 miles, all to reach 160,000 people. We are community leaders, problem solvers, makers, and more than robots. We are the lifeguards of 4118 Roaring Riptide.
All right, so let me ask, first technical, were you able to see that and hear it? Yes, was it too loud, too quiet, anything? Could have been louder, all good. Yay, David. All right, so you guys can unmute if you're unmuted right now. So thank you all for joining me back here. So I guess let me talk to the kids. Which of you guys are seniors? I know, Jackson, you're a senior, right? And you are muted. Can you unmute for me? I don't know why I'm not hearing.
I can. You'll probably hear my computer fan in the background, but I will try to.
It's all good. It's all good. So, so you kids have been, you young adults, have been in this for a while, especially the seniors. What's different this year? I mean, I know you've done a lot of work over the years, but what happened this year that you're going to remember as other than the bad what good things happen in AT this year that's going to actually stick with you as you go forward. Jackson.
A general question. Okay, it's directed at me. This year was awesome for our assistive technology work. It was so one of the big projects we started out with was finally getting in touch with Magic Wheelchair after, and that started all the way as far back as January with the ATIA. We saw the Bumblebee reveal,
right?
Our team just got energized to the point that like on the way back, we had like called and emailed Magic Wheelchair from inside our van on the way back from Orlando to Gainesville. And so getting in touch with the family and going through that and we actually ended up making 2 Magic Wheelchairs for a local family. Some amazing people. They all are. And that was the start to like when we got back to school in August. That was the start to the year, and I think that was a phenomenal way to start the year. And it was a really changing experience for all of our team. I know for me especially, but it was really cool to see. Moving forward from that, we kept doing workshops. There was one with Grip, and I think that was around November, if I'm correct. And then you showed up there too. Mr. Binko showed up at that one and helped out as well. And then he decided that we were going to do another one in December because he saw the energy about it. So we did that one as well. We hosted a couple switch builds, workspace, and some toy adaptations, got to deliver some toys. All of that led up into January. We went to ATIA, presented there, did a poster session, as well as the Maker Day with all of our team, and they were all over the place. We had people with Makers Making Change, people with ATMakers, people with IntelliKeys. We've been working on the IntelliKeys project with you guys, in manufacturing, distributing all of those, and helping them get out to people. And that's been awesome too. We made sure that everybody on the team got to make 2 of them. So we got a huge workforce ready to make those IntelliKeys and keep rolling those out.
Going forward, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So Abigail, you're a senior this year too, right?
Yes.
Did he miss anything? Let me show this. I have just so that people know what he's talking about. I have an IntelliKeys with the key guard. I should take that off so that you guys can see it. But this has been big for you guys this year, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else that he didn't go over?
Well, we've been distributing FIRST with AT kits, tidal wave AT kits, to get more FRC teams or just other people involved with AT as well.
So those
and we've done
those are outreach kits for you to go to other FRC teams or FTC teams, whatever, to engage them in AT within their outreach efforts. And it's a kit that gives them what they need to get started, as well as some instruction, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I did nothing about that. That's all you kids doing that, right? That's one of my favorite things. Is there's a couple of things that have happened, and one is that we didn't ask you to do that, and we didn't give you any help on that, right? But you're doing that, and have already spread it out to a number of teams, including the one we're going to do next. But I did want to show this. So this is when they're talking about manufacturing distribution, they're making these, which are these adapters that convert this older but still very, very useful keyboard that is the best thing for a lot of people into a standard keyboard that'll work on any device. And it's not just that they're making one of them. They're making them, testing them, packaging them, shipping them, and supporting the end user when they use it, with help from us when there's need in coding and design stuff. But really, we're not doing any of that grunt work. We're not doing any of that work. You guys have taken on all of that, which is awesome. I think you guys are great. So Tia and Erilyn, anything else that we missed here? Are we good? Go ahead.
Oh, actually, we are still continuing on our AT project. So we have 2, ATO6 and ATO7, which is contributing with like Braille bees for a kid with disabilities. So so she could communicate with her helpers, and then also a kid who wants to play a guitar, and we helping him by creating a device so he can play the guitar. So I really like that. Even though
That's
are
awesome.
quarantined, we
And
still can actually work.
is that like a capstone project for you in Project Lead the Way, or is those are not school? Those are separate outside of school hours stuff.
It's through Riptide, and I actually have the prototype for the electronics for the switch adapted guitar project right here on my desk. And no, it's literally something when the competitions were canceled, we said we still have requests coming in and we have Zoom, and we have SolidWorks,
right?
So we still design, we can still collaborate, work together to design these things and help get them out to people.
That's awesome.
And they're still coming in. Just yesterday, we got contacted from Makers Making Change about 3D printing a wheelchair mounted dog treat dispenser. So they're still coming in, and we meet weekly, sometimes more than weekly to work on this stuff, and it's great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we will bring in somebody to chat with you guys. So Arjun is here. I need to introduce him to you, but we'll do it at the end because I want to make sure all the teams have a chance. Leanne, so you're their mentor and their coach. Let me unpin Jackson. He's a attention hog like usual here. So all right, Leanne, how did the kids do this year?
I mean, I think they've done amazing. They've spent so many hours and so much time together. I think they've really come together as a family through the Magic Wheelchair Project. And then, we've kept in touch with that family. So that's been kind of a really cool experience, getting to stay connected with them and talk with the parents and the kiddos like once a week. We've built on the program. We've extended into different places. So I think the kids are doing great. Like they didn't let a little something get them down. In fact, I think we're meeting, right? And I think we're meeting a lot more now is what I'm trying to say.
Good.
Right.
Awesome.
The fact that the competition was canceled, right?
Yeah. Oh, I remember.
Yeah, we know it was a big something, but
big something.
Couldn't let it get us down. So
one of the things I love about Riptide, and by the way, for people who don't know, Riptide is not the 4 kids you see here. How many kids are in your group?
16.
16, and how many are ladies?
There's about half.
About half, right? Which is awesome, and I think that the AT helps with that. I think it is very motivating to bring people in. But those kids, as much as I'm sure they were devastated about the season ending, they don't do it for that, right? I mean, they're kids. They're going to want to win the awards and they're going to want to go to the competition and be proud of it. But you can tell that these kids do it because they love it, right? And they're going to be, I like to say, better humans when they get out of this, I think. You agree?
I would definitely agree. In fact, what you said about people joining the team, the youngest member of our team is actually here with us tonight. So that's Erilyn. She's a 6th grader, and she's involved in one of our after-school AT projects, the Communication Beat project.
Well, I never would have guessed that she was a 6th grader. So hello, Erilyn. Welcome to big time streaming with ATMakers. So, all right. I think we're going to come back to you guys at the end because we're going to have some people who want to thank you, but they're going to want to thank several. So we're going to do the thank you separate, and I'm going to move on to our next team. So if you find Riptide folks, I'll turn off your cameras. Look at this, I can wave and the teenagers obey. It's amazing. There's millions of parents who want to know how I do it. Can I get everybody from Degrees of Freedom in Arizona to turn on your cameras and mics for a second? Look at this. This is awesome. I can't believe this is working, by the way. I hate to say that, but I really do. Dan, your mic is off. I really am very surprised that that this is working as well as it is. So, and by the way, there's no way to clap. We can all clap, so we can just do it for a second here to show that it isn't going to work. So, all you clap for Riptide for a second, and we'll see. It doesn't work because it only picks up on one mic at a time, anyways. So, but virtual, clapping. So welcome Degrees of Freedom. And so you are certainly the newest team that I've worked with, that ATMakers has worked with, but you're not necessarily new to AT. And part of that has to do with the gentleman on my left, if everybody's seeing it in the same order I am, Dan Frank. So Dan, how are you?
I'm doing well.
So
Yourself?
just to give a little background about this team before we show their video. So this is one of the teams that received one of those First with AT kits from Riptide, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So they are they have a fantastic mentor for this, but they are new to the field. And ladies, if you don't know this, by the way, I believe you are all ladies, correct? Everybody on the team is a female-ish. I will tell you that the gentleman you have running this with you is really one of the oldest running. He had the idea of using robotics kids and college robotics teams for this purpose before I did, right? Well before I did. And in fact, he's part of the reason why we thought this might actually work, is that he had made it work. So first, Dan, thank you for introducing these ladies to this. And I know some of what you've done, but I know more about most of the other folks. So let me show your video. And then if you guys can think about the fact that I'm going to ask probably one or a couple of you to kind of say, what is it this year that was most, important to you or inspiring to you, et cetera. And again, forgive me on the fact that it probably will not be a graceful transition here.
I think you're muted.
Of course I'm muted. Thank you. So hopefully you could hear that though. Yes, that's why I was muted. So that's actually fascinating. I didn't know any of those numbers. And actually I love videos with numbers. So can you, it sounds like this is quite the outreach program. This isn't just an AT program. You've got a mission there that is got some much stricter challenges, so much harder challenges in your community that you're dealing with. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll pick on somebody if you don't speak up. It'll probably be Gabby. Who are the seniors? All right. So how about Valeria? Valeria, sorry.
Good choice.
Good choice. Dan approves. So give me a little bit about this year. What is it about the assistive technology stuff that you like or that you think has gone well this year?
Well, I really liked this year. Last year was mostly about like discovering what AT was, because before last year, before we had Dan, most of us didn't have any experience in AT, in assistive technology. And this year was more about like learning about it, which I really liked, and also building off of that and learning. Like our team is very focused on helping everyone in STEM and giving everyone an opportunity in STEM. And I think we did a really good job this year, especially with the help of obviously our mentor Dan and Riptide, like being more involved in projects to help children with this technology.
I know you did a lot of switch work, a lot of adapted toys this year. And did any of you guys go to ASTAP?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gabby, Natalie.
Gabby and Natalie, you want to, because you raised your hand when you said you were a senior, right? Yes?
Nope,
no,
they're sophomores.
Yeah. They're both sophomores? All right, well, Natalie, you're it anyways. So so you went to ASTAP. I've actually presented at ASTAP. What were you guys doing there? What was the goal there?
So we talked to occupational therapists and others about AT, and earlier when Gabby and I first joined, we had decided to adapt some submarines. So it was Excel, which is a school with students with intellectual and physical disabilities, could use them for their pool. And at the conference, we talked with these people on how to adopt, how we adapted them and how we use AT to change these toys up.
That's awesome. So ASTEP is the Arizona Tech Act program. It is the federally mandated, but not necessarily funded, assistive technology program in Arizona. So it's a statewide conference. We would love to see you at ATIA one year if you ladies would like to come to a national conference. There's always room for you, and it sounds like you're doing work that you'd fit right in at our conference, right, Dan? You've been there.
What Natalie didn't say is that at the conference, like they started getting pretty rowdy, like the audience, like they actually like stood up and were applauding. Like they were so thankful that, you know, the high school students were doing this work. Because I think that may have been the first time a lot of them had seen the students that young working on these types of projects.
So, you know, we see that at the Maker Day at ATIA, that it is such an energy boost for people who work in the AT industry to see the next generation looking, especially those that aren't necessarily in their field, still caring about these folks and still willing to help, right? Because a lot of you, I would bet that a lot of you aren't necessarily going to be, some of you may, how about this? Any of you guys think you're going into an AT field or like OT or speech path or anything? You're all going to be engineers? Which is awesome too. We need more female engineers that are the best kinds. As a male engineer, I can say that. So, well, I love the fact that we've got people from other fields bringing what they're good at, bringing their skills to AT. It's exactly why we did this, right, Dan? And this is, it's such a natural fit, and it is great that it has taken off around the country. So thank you for bringing it out there, ladies. Thank you for picking this up and going forward with it. Are you guys okay if we move on and come back to you at the thank you parts? All right, well, again, turn off all your mics and turn off all your cameras. Go away. So thank you. Let's do GRA-V next. Let's do GRA-V Robotics out of Orlando, because I know Danny's here. I know she is ready to do this. Hi, Danny. Hi, Steve. How are you? Excellent. Can you hear me okay, Steve?
Yep.
Yeah, so you're going to show us the big gashed hand? Yeah, that's what we like. So just for those of you who don't know, Steve was injured creating PPE for medical personnel fighting COVID in Orlando. And he is going to make a video about how not to remove things from the 3D printer. Is that right?
Sure.
That is quite the gash. Did you lose any fingers?
No, I did not lose a finger. I tore one up pretty good though.
So, well, I am glad that you are still doing that, and we will talk about that effort at the end. But let's start with GRA-V. So, for those of you who don't know, GRA-V is another long-term partner of ours, but also the host for the Make-a-thon, the Adapt-a-thon in usually November, this year in December, where we adapt hundreds of toys for kids at Christmas time. And they have this fantastic space. I mean, they've got this room. It's a motion capture studio. It's the biggest east of the Mississippi or something.
Correct.
And it's crazy. It's a great room where we can get an absolute ton done in one day. And I'm going to steal all your thunder, aren't I, Danielle? I will shut up. Let me cue up your video, Danielle, and then you can give us the skinny on how things have gone this year. Hold on. I know I need to back it up. One sec. All right. Let's try this again. There we go.
A student. A team. A community. The world. From building a controller to putting together Legos.
GRA-V lights the way for a better world.
A world of STEM without barriers.
So any student with a dream has a chance to explore STEM.
Make it a passion.
And change lives.
Un equipo en donde la inclusión y la aceptación permite a sus estudiantes conectarse a través de.
With a team from 15 high schools that speak 6 languages. A world where a project becomes a tweet. And soon a movement with thousands waiting to see what happens next. A world of accessibility.
I reached out to Team 5816, GRA-V Robotics in Orlando, one of our longtime partners, and they agreed to take this on as one of their projects.
And now, through the power of magic and unicorns and whatever else we use in order to be able to make adapters, is now what I can control Rocket League with.
So no matter the barrier, anyone can enjoy life, a toy, or a video game. A world of light for the next generation.
So they can learn, build robots, and light the way for others.
A world of community.
Where a team starts one event, and then another, and then another, allowing all teams to learn, grow, and make relationships that last a lifetime.
A world of empowerment.
So that everyone knows the power in their curiosity, the hope in their hard work, and the possibility in the light they shine.
Together, GRA-V lights up the future.
Well, that was great. That was a great video. You guys actually kicked butt on the video. Who did your video? Is that you, Daniela?
No, one of our founding members, Caitlin, she graduated last year. She helped us to make the video.
That's absolutely great. And it really did showcase a lot of the things that I know you've been working on this year, especially the Freedom Wing and the Adapt-a-thon. So give me the short version here. What is this? What's different this year? What are you what is this year for you? What are you a senior? Is this your last year?
No,
Excellent.
I'm a junior.
Excellent. All right. So go ahead.
So this year we got to take on one of our biggest projects, the Freedom Wing adapter, which allows individuals with disabilities to
user power wheelchair as a video game controller. And we loved working on that, learning how to put it all together. It reached thousands of social media. We also worked with the ATMakers Day, where we successfully adapted 98 toys and 200 switches. So this year for us is based on the impact that we can have in our community through FIRST and through ATMakers.
Well, cool. I will tell you that it is. I will tell you that the device that you're talking about. Let me give them the. I happen to have a picture here. I think I happen to have one here that you guys can see. If let's see if the camera works. We needed to try one more thing tonight because you never know. All right. So for those of you who don't know what they're talking about, this is the device that they're talking about, and let me get it zoomed in a little brighter. So this is what a Freedom Wing looks like, and it is a small PCB with a little voltage regulator on it and an adapter that takes in a Power Wing. It takes in a power wheelchair joystick. Now the other end comes USB, and this is something that we'll talk hopefully in a little bit about with Steve or Chris Young. But it is a relatively simple device that is really empowering, right? It is something where all of a sudden they can play the Xbox. They can plug it into the Xbox adaptive controller and play their Xbox, and they can plug it into their PC and it can become a mouse, or they can. Chris Young and I flew a drone with it, right? It's quite an amazing little piece of adaptation. It's not hard to make. Do you have any? Have you made one, Daniela?
Well, the time that you went to the Turbo Space where you showed us how to make the board and everything. So yeah, I've learned how to make one.
You've learned how to make but you, like Riptide, you guys took on the manufacturing of this device. Now you're using Able Gamers as distribution, right? So you're partnered with Able Gamers to provide them basically the raw device, the 3D printed case, the feather tested, ready to go, so that they can distribute it to the users who request it for them. But I love the fact that, again, it's not going through central ATMakers. It's not going through this building where I love that you've taken on the manufacturing, the testing, and then the shipping that up to Able Gamers. It is wonderful. Have you learned anything about manufacturing? Like, it's hard, and testing's really hard. Making more than one of something is really hard, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think what's great about it is that such a small little thing can impact the world, and that Brady robotics team, that we get the chance to be a part of it and just learn more through how to make stuff like that is amazing.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think it was a natural fit. We had a day at the Adaptathon, at the end of the Adaptathon, where I talked to Riptide about the IntelliKeys, and I talked to you guys about the gaming stuff like this. And I think it was a good fit. I really do think it fits Steve, it fits the feel of the teams, right? Of kind of who they are and what they're working on. Steve, how's this year for you?
It's been a interesting year. A lot of the students were new this year. We got a large portion of graduates last year. So for all intents and purposes, it's been a rebuilding year for GRA-V. But I think they took that in stride. Our younger team members like Daniela and Dawson and a couple others really stepped up and became leaders this season. And that's helped. And we've got a great core group of mentors that are behind everybody and just sit there and help them wherever they need help. So it's been an interesting year, but a fun year.
Cool. So I'm actually really thrilled that you're there in Orlando. My daughter goes to UCF, so I'm there fairly often. I'm over in Tampa, but I will talk in a little bit with you about why the printers are running behind you. But I want to get through the teens first. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to cut over to Penn. I don't actually know who is here from Penn. But if you two lovely people would turn off your cameras for a second, And if I can get anybody from Penn Robotics in Indiana to turn theirs on, that would be awesome. Hello, Josh, Luke, Alyssa. Excellent. How are you? How are you guys? And are we going to see Jim or John tonight or not?
No, I don't think they're on.
All right. Well, then, which of you is going to play the part of the coach today? I think it's Alyssa because she spoke up first, so that's going to be the answer. All right. So so welcome. So this is Team 135 out of Mishawaka, near South Bend, Indiana. And we've actually been working with them for a few years. They've done great work with us on the whole Engineering Ella project. And I was actually up there. I don't know if you guys remember this. I was up there. Was that last year? God, it was last year. It was the last St. Joseph's Invitational that you guys hosted that I was up there. Now, are any of you, please don't tell me you're all freshmen. Are you all freshmen? No. Any seniors here? All right, Josh. So you were probably there when I came up last year. Yeah. So Team 135, as its name kind of implies, this is a very experienced team. It's a team that has been there since like year 1 or 2 of FIRST Robotics competition. You notice some of our other teams are like Team 5816, 5,816. And yes, they are given out in order. So this is a team that we reached out to mainly because of how stable and reliable and how long they'd been in it. So you were one of the first teams we reached out to, and you've been in AT for 3 or 4 years now. And if you'd like, I will kick off your video, and then if you guys think about it, you can share with me what you would. I don't know a way to bring this up and not have it start before I start the sharing, so I'm sorry about that. Give me a sec. And then we can chat.
Penn Robotics is dedicated to upholding our tradition of excellence, not only in competition, but in our mission to inspire students to engage with robotics. We are Penn Robotics, and we are the catalyst for a brighter future. It all starts in our lab. Here, we host annual camps in the summer, fall, and winter for elementary and middle school kids, giving them their first hands-on robotics experience. By introducing the campers to FIRST Robotics, we are taking the initial steps in shaping the innovators of tomorrow. Starting with FLL, this year we dedicated our time and energy to mentor a group of bright, young problem solvers, FLL Team 47426. As we mentor these students, we instill in them the core values of FIRST and encourage a progression through its programs. We mentor, support, and assist 5 FTC teams at Penn, so they can succeed both in and out of competition. As they go through their season under our guidance, we give them the tools with which they will shape the future and push the boundaries of innovation. Going beyond robotics students, the influence of our FIRST program is felt throughout our community. Our Assistive Technology initiative is changing the way the world perceives FIRST teams. This year, we built a Hulk wheelchair costume for Zephin, a boy with cerebral palsy. This project was featured on CBS World News, CNN, and was shared on Mark Ruffalo's social media, reaching over 17.2 million people and showing them the capabilities of robotics students. Penn Robotics is sharing the message of FIRST with the world. We have represented FIRST Robotics teams at national and international events, such as the International Manufacturing Technology Show, the Assistive Technology Industry Association Conference, and InMax Impact Summit. At these events, we introduce professionals in the workforce to FIRST Robotics, sharing with them the importance of investing in FIRST students. We tell them that
we are engineers.
We are programmers.
We are designers.
We are leaders.
We are inspired. We are the future.
We are FIRST.
We are Team 135.
And we're building a brighter future.
Sorry, I know. I was muted and talking. So fantastic video. I love it. I love the fact that you've got actually a lot of projects in there that I was aware of and a few that I wasn't. So certainly I saw some of the work you did with Ella in there, and I saw the Mark Ruffalo thing. And it's important to remind something. You mind if I soapbox here for a second? we have to remember when we use robotics, kids, that you don't expect any payment, but there are things that you value, right? And social media exposure, you guys value, right? You love the fact that that was tweeted out by Mark Ruffalo. And if we hadn't gotten the media releases from the parents and the kids, that couldn't happen. So it's a reminder to us from the AT side, it's really important that we get the media releases and we remember that there are intrinsic things that you guys, you care about, you know, being seen doing. You want to do good and you want to make a difference, but you also want to be seen doing it, right? I love that he did that. I think that is very cool that the Hulk tweeted out your Hulk project. So Alyssa, you're going to tell me about this year. What happened this year up there?
So one of the most important things that we did was, of course, the Hulk wheelchair project. So we met Zephin. This is our 5th year in the assistive technology field. And so he wanted a wheelchair costume so that he could go trick-or-treating with the rest of his friends. And so we paired up with Magic Wheelchair and a Rosie Place for Children, which is a local community center. And so, yeah, we created that wheelchair that was on the video, and it had flashing lights, audio, and the arms of the Hulk actually moved, and he said Hulk smash. So Zephin was really excited about this when we finally got to share it with him. And of course, it reached the 17.2 million people throughout the social media, like you said. And so it was a really life-changing experience, not only for him, but it was a great experience for us as students, getting to see how we can impact not only Zephin, but the whole community.
Yeah, and it's one of these things where people, you know, we're going to talk about Magic Wheelchair in a little bit. People forget about the fact that when you see a little kid in a Magic Wheelchair costume, essentially, you see a kid in a costume, right? It makes the chair disappear. And when 17 million people see that, it really is the fact that that thing that you built does make an impact on everybody who sees it, right? It's important. It definitely gives you a platform and a voice in an area that you probably didn't expect to have while you were in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, gentlemen, what else has gone on up there this year? I know you were planning on doing a Switch adaptation, correct? Did that happen? Josh?
Yes. We actually partnered with our local health organization, Beacon. They provided different patients and they helped fund it. We adapted around 100 toys just to start out. And what we did basically is we took simple toys that if you press a button, a sound will go off. And we made the buttons more accessible for more specially abled people so that they could interact with the toys and play with the sounds. We ended up donating several toys to Rosie Place, which we worked with for the Magic Wheelchair and several other organizations.
Very cool. I'm glad you guys did that. Luke, is there anything that I am that these two are not covering that we need to make sure gets mentioned?
To build on the Adaptathon that's what Josh was talking about. The Adaptathon was actually happening the same day that we released the Magic Wheelchair to the public. And it was really an awesome just day for everyone because we had so much going on. We had the Magic Wheelchair going on at the same time as our Adaptathon partnered with Beacon. And like Josh said, we adapted over 100 toys in our lab, and then we took all those toys to a different facility, and we had games and stations set up where kids with disabilities could come in and draw and build with Legos. And we had a roped off section where we were actually adapting toys, and they could watch us adapt the toys while we were adapting them. And we adapted several more toys at the actual event, and we adapted over 100 toys just within that short amount of time. And we were able to give them out for everyone who came, and then we were able to donate them to a Rosie Place and a lot of other children's hospitals in our area.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so one of the things you guys haven't mentioned, and I'm pretty sure that none of the three of you were part of it. So first, Alyssa, how many kids are in Team 135 at FRC level? How many are in your
We have 27 this year. Not
27, right? So this is quite, it's an army, right? This is an army of robotics kids. And you are not the only 3 who are doing AT, because none of you came to ATIA, right?
Right.
So there's I know David and oh my God,
Michelle was in there.
Michelle, no, but there's another woman who did all your social media too.
Emily and Emma were both there.
Okay, so they came down as well for ATIA. So David Dichter is here as well. So you have quite the crew of folks who have taken on outreach for your program. And I remember really well last year, outreach bailing your team out. Josh will remember this. Josh, do you remember this last year? Yeah. So last year when I came up, so I'm a firm believer in going to these events with these kids. And for those of you who aren't in FIRST or associated with FIRST, but happen to be anywhere near a high school, there is a FIRST team, and you should absolutely go to the competitions. It's kind of bizarre to see a basketball stadium, a college basketball stadium, or a huge stadium that Penn has on site filled with people cheering on robotics, but it's cool. And I loved what happened last year, because I'm sure you didn't, Josh, but they had a really tough time on the field, and they chose a partner that didn't work well with them, and they were going to get eliminated on their very first event that they hosted, and they won the chairman's award, which let them go through to states. And I have never seen a team spin from being so dejected to so happy, especially with their outreach kids. I've never seen anything like it. It made my day. I hope, John, I'm sure you were not having a great day until that moment, but that was pretty cool. It was pretty neat that that's what made the difference for you last year. Yes?
Yeah.
Am I overstating that, or does that sound about right?
No, that's completely right.
Yeah. So I loved it. I know I wasn't happy that you all were having a tough day, and everybody has tough days, but it was great to see the kids who'd done the work with Ella and done the work at ATIA and made your presentation last year really get the kudos and the appreciation that they deserved, and that it really helped the rest of your team. It was great. So I was happy with it. I would like to introduce somebody, because she's the only guest we have that has a bedtime. So I want to introduce somebody who wants to say thank you to your team specifically, if you can. Hey, look, there she is. Look. So let me turn on your, look, there you go. Hi, Ella, how are you? Good. Can you see me? Would you rather be this way? Is this better for you? Yeah. So this is Miss Ella Hunt. So hopefully the Penn team knows her well. For those of you who don't know, Penn has been kind of her pit crew over the past few years. Hi. Yep. Hi, Ella. Hi. So Ella has gotten a lot out of these kids. So we've gotten a lot of support from her, both from her power wheelchair and other ways. And really, so Ella, how long have you been working with Penn?
Since before you can remember, probably, right?
3 years, yeah.
I think it's been Natalia was and David was the first team we worked with, and geez, I think Natalia's been graduated 3 years now. So
can I show a picture of you, Ella? You mind? So I have my favorite picture of all time involves these folks, and so if you don't mind, I'm going to show. And Erica's not going to be thrilled with me, because I don't know how much you like this picture, but I think it's great. It is. Let me share this without that option. So can you guys see that? Yes. Yeah. So this is my all-time favorite picture, like of all time. This is Ella 3 years ago, about. Erica, can you correct me if I'm wrong?
that sounds about right.
About 3 years ago. So the girl on the left is Atalia Fields, who's a Penn Robotics now alumna. And there's your physical therapist. I don't remember her name. Cheryl?
Denise.
and Erica on the right. And this is Ella, and this is my favorite picture. And then in the back, you'll see two kids who are in Penn Robotics. I don't know if either of them are on right now or if they're still there, but everything is right about this picture. So what's happened here is that Penn Robotics and I have made a device for her that lets her drive her chair. But in order for her to use it, she has to practice. So they have actually given her access to their field where they do the robotics practice. And ATIA here is playing tag with her, which is nuts, right? You've got a kid with SMA type 1 playing tag with a high school junior, I think at this point, and running around the course. And everybody in this picture is getting something awesome out of this, right? Everybody thinks it's all about Ella and what you got out of this, your ability to drive your chair, which is great. But ATIA got just as much out of this. She got to see through all the things that you've got to go through, Ella, and see you having fun in spite of the BiPAP and in spite of the chair and everything else that's going on. I love it. This is my all-time favorite picture. So even of the ones of you on the beach, it's my all-time favorite picture. So I thought I'd share it again. So, yay, it's you again. Hi. So I assume you guys are happy with what Penn's doing and the fact that they're doing AT, right, Erica?
Oh, we just love it.
Good.
We love it. And I remember when they actually, when you guys came out with the engineering Ella, it was just like so personal and just, I remember even just, I think it was last summer when it was like an invasion where I think three of you guys came out with one of your teachers and notebooks and pens in hand. And it was like, okay, what are your needs? And it was just a discussion on a dream list of things that Ella could use and just a pick list of what kind of things would make life easier for her. And it was incredible to just sit and dream and come up with options and to have a base of people that could dream with us and then not only dream, but be able to take those ideas and go and create. Like it was so freeing to us and just, yeah, it was like a passport or a ticket to drive for us. And it was so cool. And so we really appreciate that you guys want to invest in her life and our lives and just because we have all these desires and wants for her, but we're kind of stuck in the mud, either just out of time, lack of resource, ability, you name it. And you guys get to help fill the gap and kind of be the gel for us in that way. And it's a perfectly balanced relationship for us. And so we're very grateful.
Well, good. I'm glad it's worked out. And kids, I'm glad you got to see Ella. Can I ask a favor? Can I get the GRA-V kids or just Danny to come on for a second? And Steve, you're welcome to join as well. There's Danny. There's great. So Ella, the two people who just joined, Daniela and Steve, are the ones who helped you be able to fly the drone. So I wanted to make sure you got to meet them as well. So we went on a road trip and flew drones with Ella using the Freedom Wing and things related to the Freedom Wing. And so I wanted to make sure you knew that they had done that for you as well. So Daniela and Steve, this is Ella.
Can we tell you the coolest thing about that? You want to tell them what the coolest thing was? Is seeing those cows, right? We got to see the cows like 3 houses behind our house, like up close and personal. That was pretty sweet. So,
yeah, it was pretty cool. Actually, that was one of my favorite days too, right?
Yeah, Ella loved that. That was neat.
Yeah. So Daniela, thank you very much for that. And Steve, thank you for getting those done for us as well. All right, Ella, I hope you stay on and watch. Oh, look at Chris. Your timing is perfect.
I'm inviting myself.
You're inviting yourself. I love it. So Steve, come back on for a second. And you know what, Steve Spawn, if you're out there, you should join as well. We'll do this here. We have the right crew. So look at you.
See my screen here?
Yeah. So this is Chris. Let me introduce you first.
Okay.
So this is Chris Young. He lives in Indianapolis, just south of you guys at Penn. And we actually had that same drone trip. Chris is there as well, and he used the Freedom Wing and does on a regular basis now too, correct?
Yes. In fact, I'm controlling my mouse with it right now.
That's awesome. So yeah, show us these pictures.
Well, this was just a little clip of video of us flying the drone. And I just wanted to say, you know, I'm going on 65 years old. And ever since I was a teenager, the age of these kids, that was 50 years ago. And I've always wanted to fly a radio-controlled airplane of some kind. And when I was your age, I couldn't afford it. My dad later got into RC airplanes, but we couldn't find a way that I could mount the joystick. And because I can't move my head very much, I wasn't able to look up at the plane, so I never did get to do it. So when Bill brought out the Freedom Wing and was able to fly the drone with me, it was basically fulfilling a dream that I've had for over 50 years, to be able to fly a radio control aircraft. So that's the kind of impact that you're having on people's lives. And I just wanted to give you a big thanks for doing that, a big virtual high five. You're really having a giant impact on people's lives, whether it's the Freedom Wing or Switch It Up toys or Engineering Ella or the magic wheelchairs, whatever it is, you're changing people's lives. And you're going to carry that with you the rest of your life. You've got to change in perspective now. You're going to look at the world differently because of the work that you've done. And whether you get into science or technology or engineering or programming, or even if it's not a tech field, you're going to look at the world different and you're going to say, how can I make what I'm doing more accessible to other people? And that's going to just multiply and multiply. So thanks a lot for everything. It's really been wonderful.
That's awesome. Chris, I'm so glad you popped up, right? So I agree 100%. So what I'd like to do, if you guys are okay with this, I'd like to introduce some. So Chris, thank you. I'm so glad you had the video ready. We hadn't planned that, but I would have picked exactly that video because it showed you could see Indianapolis for the first time from your house, which was pretty darn cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a blast. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, and now Chris has actually written the code for the thing you're seeing. Let me spotlight you again for a second here. So if you look carefully here, so this joystick that Chris is using is now going into a Freedom Wing, and then into your PC as a mouse and a keyboard.
And
right?
I just move the joystick with my mouth, and it lets me move the mouse around and click on whatever I want. Normally, I use voice control for moving the mouse, but in a situation like this, you guys don't want to hear me saying voice commands on how to move the mouse. I just want to be able to move it and talk at the same time. And so that's what it's letting me do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And nowadays, now that everybody's on Zoom all the time, it makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let me let me just warn our affiliates out there. We're gonna run a little long. Nobody's gonna get that joke if you're under 40, but the rest of us got it. But let me drop off GRA-V and Penn for a second. Let me say thank you. Excellent. So Chris and Ella, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're here, and I hope you stay. And I wish there was a way for us to cheer at the end, but so goodbye. I hope to see you again soon. We'll fly the drone again. Are you guys coming down for the conference in June? No, you don't even know if there's going to be a conference in June, do we?
Canceled it. I'd say thank you, Ella.
You're welcome. Bye, sweetie. All right, let me grab Wendy Austin. Wendy, can you come on for a second? Wendy is stepped away from her computer. She's still here. All right.
Wait there. Okay, unmuted.
You're unmuted. Can you turn your camera on?
Oh, wait, there it is. Okay. Yeah.
Hi, Wendy. I'm so glad
everyone.
you're here. I was afraid you were gone for a second.
No, just very not technical.
That's okay. That's okay. So we all listen. I am very technical, and I am right at the edge of my ability to control all the things going on right here. How you been crying?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who don't know, and there will be some here who don't know who this is. So Wendy Austin is the director. She's in charge of FIRST in Florida. How about that?
Really. I'm the Orlando regional director, and I work with the highest level, the FRC teams, but I support all the lower levels as well.
Gotcha. And so maybe I overstated it, but it's close enough. When I think of Wendy, I think the first bigwig in Florida. How about that? Sure. So she doesn't feel that way at the moment. And I know you and I talked. So if people don't understand, we were in the middle. We were in the height, the absolute peak of FRC season this year when this nightmare kicked in, right?
We had to make the announcement that we were shutting down in the middle of the drivers' meeting. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to say other than my father's eulogy.
Yeah. That's when I heard it, I immediately reached out to Leanne and Steve and folks who I knew were there. And yeah, the teens were not okay. So I'm actually thrilled. And I will say a couple of things. We are not the only ones doing this. We're the only AT group doing this that I know of, but you are having a virtual conference on the 2nd, correct?
Tuesday, correct.
Yeah. So, which is Saturday.
Yes. Well, okay. So we have a lot of different things. Today's Tuesday, right? Tomorrow night at 7, they're announcing, headquarters is announcing all of the awards for the Dean's List candidates, the Chairman's Award, the Woody Flowers Award, and the Volunteers of the Year for each regional. So tomorrow at 7, you can tune in to find out. The way they judged chairmans this year was strictly on the essays, which for those of you who don't know, the high school students have to write a 10,000 character essay, and then generally they do a 5 to 7 minute presentation followed by 5 minutes of question and answer. Plus they have to create a video. So a lot goes into submitting for a Chairman's Award.
Yeah. And it is, for those of you who don't know what Chairman's is, and I'll get this wrong, but you'll correct me. Chairman's is the award for what the kids do off the court, off the field, right? It's your outreach, what impact you're having on the community. That's fair?
It is the most prestigious award you can win. And it is for the team that most fulfills the ideals and mission of FIRST.
Okay. But you can't do that on the field. You have to go off the field to do that.
Yes, but you still have to have a good robot.
Yes. Yes. You still have to have a good robot. But if you only have a good robot, you're going to be a B team. You've got to go beyond that. Otherwise, you can't win.
You're missing the point.
Right. And a lot of the kids here, no, there's not a kid here who's missing the point. Fair enough?
Believe me, I know.
Yeah. So thank you for being here. And I know you've been a part of what we've done as well, and have cheered both in person and from the sidelines as we go. I really appreciate the fact that you're here to thank these kids as well. I love the fact that we're able to show these. The fact that they had the videos ready made it a lot easier to say, yeah, let's just do this. Let's thank them in public, right?
It does make it a little easier.
Yeah. So make sure you tell FIRST that we love. I want to thank FIRST in a small way. FIRST set up an organization that allows what we're doing to work. Because if it was just a competition about the robot, not one of the coaches involved here would be willing to take a big chunk of their time and spend it on outreach, because it's too big a job, right? I mean, the competition part, the robot part, is a huge job. If that's all that it was, if that's all that you were measuring, we wouldn't be doing this with your teams. So the fact that you've structured it the way that you had, you being you, right? I really can commend them. And those who don't know about FIRST should look into it. It is an organization that, like any organization, it's imperfect, but it is doing better than the vast majority of student organizations and even just nonprofits that I've seen. It does a very good job. So thank you very much for hosting this. And all the kids out there are cheering too. Trust me, they are. They're all going like this.
I will say, because I've been a part of FIRST since 2006, when you get to hang out with these kids, you're not afraid of the future anymore because you know what they're capable of. And the partnership with FIRST and ATMakers is just made in heaven. And I think that a lot of these students, when you get to be around them, you get to watch them grow and become more confident and become more passionate about what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I think part of being able to be involved with ATMakers really hits home and lets them see, because when you're in a classroom or you're just learning something, you're just kind of, it's all theory. And it's like, yeah, whatever. And even once you get into college, most colleges in engineering aren't a lot of hands-on until you're up into your senior year.
You're certainly not in touch with the end user, right? I mean, I went to engineering school, and you do, even if you're doing builds, you're not getting the feedback that we get when and one of the things that I push really hard, and I learned early that I have to push really hard, is I always want the kids to be there for the presentation, to come in direct contact with Ella, with Chris, with people that we're helping, because it makes such a big difference in the way they see the world, right?
Well, and I think it's also like take the Make-a-thon that GRA-V hosts.
Yep.
To walk in there and see 100 students who are taking time out of their Thanksgiving break usually, or their winter break, to solder all day and learn how to adapt toys. And they get to see how much of an impact they're making on other people's lives.
Right.
And even if they're not there on Christmas morning to watch them open those,
right,
they know that they're making a difference. And then they tend to go out, much like Riptide has done, and start finding a way to share this with other FIRST teams, so that they can go out into their communities. It's like that old shampoo commercial, I told 2 friends, and then they told 2 friends, and then they told 2 friends. And before you know it, it's not going to be an unusual thing for high school kids and even middle school kids to know how to go into their communities and adapt things.
Yep, absolutely. And we are also building kind of this base of designs and of guides and of how-to videos that kind of lets them get a jump when they want to do it. So I'm really excited about it. So, and
it'll be real interesting to find out how many of these kids who are currently mechanical engineering students who become adaptive technology engineers.
We really need an adaptive engineer. We need a different degree. In fact, a lot of your kids come to me and they say, I want to do this for a living. What degree do I get?
USF has a doctorate in it.
So, but there's like 4. They have a doctorate in it. That's 6. That's minimum 6, probably 8 years, right? That's a long haul. And unless there are jobs at the end of it, it's a tough sell. I think that assistive engineering or something along those lines, even at a bachelor's level, we need to start, and even OTs that are more technical, right? We have a lot we could do here. So we're working on some of that stuff too.
Well, I can.
So hi, Kale. How are you? Do you want to have your video and audio on? Okay. So I have some other folks I need to say hi to, but I want to thank you for joining us and kind of being the official, unofficial FIRST representative here. I know we didn't clear this with FIRST.
Yeah, we really didn't.
Yeah. So, but now we have, because it's official, because Wendy's been on.
Roy and Riptide and GRA-V, they're my babies. So
I know.
I have to be there and show how much we in this community appreciate what they do.
Yeah, I appreciate that you're here. So let me grab a couple of people. Goodbye, Wendy. Everybody say goodbye, Wendy. Thank you. Christine, are you here?
I'm here.
Look, it's you. Would you like me to grab all the, let's just do it this way. Could all of the teens who made a magic wheelchair turn on your cameras? How about that? And their coaches. That's not it. There's at least a couple more. All right. So there you go. I think that's probably it. So these are 2 teams. So we've got Riptide and Team 135 have both created magic wheelchairs. Alyssa, did you make a magic wheelchair in Arizona? Maybe. Hi, Kale. How are you? So,
Max.
It's all good. So, Christine, let me explain to people who you are and why you're here. So Christine is, let me spotlight her. Hi. Yay. So Christine is a good friend of mine, lives in the frozen. Are you still cold up there or not?
It's been really nice lately. I don't know. I'm not going to get accustomed to it, but
Gotcha.
today.
So Christine is not the founder, but the director of Magic Wheelchair, a partner charity of ours. We've done a lot together. In fact, I've made AT for her. It might still be in use. It is. So Christine is the director and the kind of the coordinator for all the Magic Wheelchair stuff. And these kids have made some awesome ones, right? So we have the two out of Gainesville, which were what's the name of that? Paw Patrol? Was it Paw Patrol?
Yep.
Yeah, Paw Patrol. And then we've got the kids at Team 135 made the Hulk. And these and I have actually made one. So I can count. I can have my hand up because I helped made Bumblebee, which was amazing.
That was so much fun. That was wild.
That was wild, right? And a lot of the kids who were at ATIA also remember this fondly because we revealed it there. So can you give a little short version of what really short version of what's this about? Why do you do this? And why do you use patines?
Yeah, so Magic Wheelchair is a nonprofit that creates epic wheelchair costumes for kids across the country and at no cost. We partner with every type of maker you can imagine, from prop shops and folks in Hollywood to students and robotics first, and even maker spaces. And I think that's almost all of our build types. We also have homemakers.
Right.
Thanks to all of you on the call today, we have built 228 Magic Wheelchairs across the country. All of you showed your flexibility and your skills. I know in Florida, I don't think we were positive that there was a brother at first, and without hesitation, you built two. So it's that flexibility that you've had made it even more magical for that family and for us to witness from across the country. So thank you.
That's awesome. Can I ask a favor, Christine? I hate to interrupt you, and you're welcome to stay up for a second, but I know that Arjun just told me he has to go, and I want to have him have a chance to say thank you. I will come back to you in a second. Arjun, can you turn on your camera for a second? Because we have some of the right kids on the screen.
Cool.
If we can...
Yeah, I'm hosting another meeting in just a few minutes, and I have to go and set up my computer there. Look, I'm just so inspired to see what you guys are doing in Florida and Arizona and Indiana. I'll tell you where I connect, and maybe it'll give you a sense of what might happen for you at some point. In the late 1980s, I started to realize that computer technology could help people with disabilities, and I invented IntelliKeys and assembled a team of folks, engineers, educators. We made a whole suite of software to go along with it. And so many of you were involved with that as well. I had a chance to work with Caroline Van Howe, who's on this call, and David Dichter.
David and Caroline, turn yours on too.
And some of us got together and we started an organization called ATIA. And so, and I'm from California, where I am right now, and we went to Orlando and decided to set up the conference there. So it's been going on for over 20 years, and that's another thing that I was able to help out with, to be the president and one of the founders of ATIA. I got an opportunity because of that to put in the AT language, which is in our Special Ed Act. So special education in the United States is a legal right, and it's codified in law by something called the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. And in that act, there are discussions about assistive technology and universal design for learning, or UDL. And I had the honor of being able to pen that, to actually do that writing, so that was great. And so now what I get to do is I continue on doing other things in my life. I've got a lot of stuff I do, including playing a lot of music. And you guys are doing, some of you are doing adapted music stuff. I'm involved with the NORA project, which is teaching empathy so that typically performing youngsters in schools, elementary, start to develop friendships with their peers who have disabilities. And by the time they're in high school, they do STEMpathy. So they're actually re-engineering their high school. And Bill Binko and I met about that, and we talked about your team in Indiana, you Penn folks. There was some discussion, maybe we'll try to get together with you guys, and that might happen because we're doing STEMpathy work in high schools. And then also working with a group called Teachers to Teachers Global, where we're helping primarily young women in Guatemala and in Ecuador to realize that even though they're in the world where they are, if they think rigorously and confidently about their mathematical and scientific prowess, they can contribute that much more to societal well-being. So Teachers to Teachers Global is about extending the largesse of American education, if you will, partnering with other countries and saying, you know, let's focus on the young women and let's rise up high together. So so today for me, it was my chance to get juice from you guys because I'm inspired. And I thank you, Bill, and I thank everybody on the call. Thank you for what you're doing. I didn't have a clue, had no idea. Bill told me, I bet you don't know about this. Didn't have a clue. Now I got way clue, and I'm very, very honored. And I'll be taken off because I have to go host another event that includes person with disabilities. We're trying to give some support to someone who's losing.
That's awesome. So for those of you who missed this, especially the kids at Riptide, Arjun invented this. So all these things that you've been testing, they all were made by Arjun and his company back in the 90s, early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
And we have rescued them, right? We put this little magic piece of technology on the back, and they are going out into the world and still working, which is amazing. So Jackson, I thought you'd want to meet him especially.
Amazing.
Jack,
I got to meet him at ATIA just
yeah,
by
man.
chance.
Yeah, we did in the hallway there. Yeah.
We even took a picture together. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, awesome. Great
awesome.
to see you again.
It was super cool. It was awesome. I remember Mr. Bingo was pointing out, like, hey, you see that guy over there? He made you should go say hi to him. And I was like,
you know, I love the fact that you guys all came in person to that event. Hold on a sec. I gotta stop sharing you. Sorry. I love the fact that when we all go to ATIA, that can happen, right? So with that introduction, Caroline and David, all right, all you kids go away. I love waving my hands and make kids disappear. I've wanted to do that my entire life. How cool is that? Not you, Caroline, come back. Okay, there you go. So hi, folks, how are you? So let me do introductions here. So these two are the current top of the Assistive Technology Industry Association. So David is the CEO and Caroline does all the work. That fair?
Fair
yes.
enough.
David, you'll go for that one, right?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. So thank you both for being here. And thank you for inviting these kids to go to ATIA in should we say January or February? Whatever. End of January. So what do you think, David? What do you think about these guys?
You know, look, so for 3 years now, we've been doing 2 or 3? 3.
We've done 3 so far.
For 3 years at ATIA, we've been hosting many of you folks, many of you guys at the conference. And from day one, it's been incredible and positive and inspiring. And, you know, one of the teams quoted me in the first team in their video. And I am sincere when I say that, you know, and I think Arjun has said it and we've all said it in different ways, that this, for me, the inspiration is knowing that you all won't, this doesn't go away from you. This carries forward for all of you. And to be able to help make that happen for you and to have the conference, and that's a place where you get together, that's just like icing on the cake for me to see all of this incredible work that you've done. The folks in Arizona, I'm really excited about some of the stuff you're doing around women, young women, and Navajo Nation, and some of the other stuff that you're doing around diversity. The interesting part I kept thinking of, and disability and issues of disability filter through every community that exists. It doesn't have, disability doesn't discriminate based on any of these other factors, and everywhere we go people need support and help and have desires and want options and want things to happen, and you're all out there doing it. And Caroline, I'm going to steal your thunder for a second, but Caroline's son was listening, and he is way into the maker movement himself, and he's a robotics guy and has gone through college already. And I'm assuming that he's inspired by the stuff that you're doing as well. And so, Brett, if you're there, you should wave and get in on Caroline's background there.
Come on.
And I think that, so not to belabor this, but
there you go.
I want all. So I'm one of the. Brett, that's kind of an interesting thing. You're disappearing there too.
It's my virtual background.
So look, in my book, you've all won the Chairman's Award. You know, I'm like one of those people that says everybody gets a prize.
You get a car, and you get a car.
Everybody gets whatever you want. And you know, I just hope that I want to continue this. I want to continue ATIA being a host for not just all of you and your teams and your ongoing teams, because many of you graduate, but for other teams, and to continue to make it a really important place to gather. And so that's my honor and my privilege to be able to host you. I am in awe of the great work that you do. So thanks.
You're welcome. Caroline, anything you need to add? Are you good?
No, I'm good, thank you. But thanks for the invitation, Bill.
I'm so glad you came. And I'm not kidding about the fact that, listen, David is wonderful and he gives us the opportunity, but whenever things go wrong, you call Caroline and she gets it fixed, right? So that's really the truth. And so all you kids, when you come to ATIA, the one with the long red hair is the person you have. There are two, but the one from ATIA is the one you have to be really nice to. Okay?
And so when you go to work in a company, there's the CEO and there's a COO. The COO is operations, right? Operations. They get all the stuff done.
That's right.
CEO, I can't tell you, like, you know, yeah, anyway.
He makes the deals. All right, so I need to go back to Christine for a second because I promised I would. So Christine, come back in for a second. I am sorry, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to say hi to Arjun before he had to go. Are you good?
Yeah, hanging out in quarantine, you're good.
That's right. And everybody is, listen, everybody is healthy, right? We've had, how many? We've had 3 folks with SMA. I don't think Steve Spawn is on, so I don't know what happened there, but everybody is healthy, or at least doesn't have COVID, which is good. You had a scare. Chris had a scare.
Yeah.
Ella has not had a scare. I will tell you, did you see the video I did with Ella's mom?
When was that?
So I don't know, 3 weeks ago, we did it. Erica and I did a video on how to make your house safe for people who can't deal with viruses. So she did a great job. So Erica, thank you for that.
3 weeks ago, I was in the midst, I think, of the insanity.
Yeah, you got.
I didn't have any COVID symptoms. I had meningitis.
But they put you on a COVID floor.
They treated me like a COVID patient, and I was denied a lot of basic human rights. So still fighting behind the scenes.
Well, I'm glad you're still fighting, which is awesome. I'm glad you got out of there and that you're safe. You know, Christine she's a force. In spite of everything that she's dealing with, is definitely a force to be reckoned with. And I kind of cut you short. We are regularly inundated with teams who want to do a magic wheelchair, right? So we are delighted that we have 2 on here who've done it. I would bet every one of the teams we work with at some point will want to do this, because it is a really, it's inspiring. It's not always practical, right? It can't, like, listen, the Freedom Wing is practical. It's going to let somebody control a device and things like that. The IntelliKeys adapter is practical. Some of the things these kids do, not everything needs to be practical. It can be make this awesome for a day or a weekend, right? Or a memory that this kid has of Halloween that isn't, that is magical, right? So you're our little bit of magic that we don't want to lose. So don't get COVID.
Yeah.
And make sure Ryan knows that we appreciate Ryan's the founder of this, and make sure he knows that we are delighted with the partnership we have with you guys as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is everybody good there? Everybody healthy?
Yeah, everyone's healthy.
Good. That's awesome.
Oregon's been pretty lucky, honestly, numbers wise.
Yeah, you got hit first but latest, right?
We were, I think Washington was hit first, but we took action early.
Yeah.
Seems to be helping. The hospital that I was in, they had a whole nother building converted to a secondary hospital, stacked with ventilators, and they haven't touched it. So that's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are safe. I don't think any of the kids in any of our robotics teams have, or anybody, I don't know about their family, but their immediate family, I haven't heard any stories yet of somebody being, actually being sick with this disease. So I am hopeful that stays that way. And we had a tough year. And we lost two of the folks that we've supported, right? So both Garrison Murph and Michael Phillips, both of whom we've done things with. Garrison, we made a Jack in the Box and a couple other things for him. And Michael Phillips, we did the Mike's Gun project. Both passed away this year, both from SMA, which we're not a big fan of. So if you guys, we do want to remember them and recognize that not everything it's not all, there's a phrase I can't use. It's not all roses, let's put it that way, in our world. And it has been a tough year, but it is good tonight to focus on some of the more positives, right? And see some of what these kids are doing. So thank you for joining me and helping me thank them. I don't think I have forgotten anybody other than me, who wants to thank people. I do want to, so you guys can, if there's anybody here who needs to say thank you, and I can't believe you haven't called on me, Bill, just realize it's not intentional and raise your hand, or turn on your camera. That's fine too. But I am going to play off of what you just said about COVID and the hospital and the PPE to do something kind of interesting. Can I ask all of the teams who are currently making PPE and their leads and their coaches to turn on your camera for a second? Because there's more than that, right? So there's at least those, right? So Steve's is on, Jessica and Jackson, right? So we've got at least the Gainesville team, the GRA-V team, and the Arizona team are all making personal protective equipment for the folks in, and I would bet somebody at Penn is too. They're just not here. But they are, they're all making personal protective equipment for healthcare workers. And that is kind of leads me, and I'm doing something different, but a lot of us have turned to trying to support this effort because we can't do the things that we would normally be working on, and nobody else is doing some of this stuff, which is a little irritating. I'm sure you guys have that thought as well. The teens have to have that thought at this point. But and there's a couple people on here who aren't here. Ian Cole, who I met through Magic Wheelchair, is the lead for South and Central Florida on the open source medical supplies. And that's who told Steve to cut open his hand, right? Isn't that how that worked? You were printing. Is that what you're printing behind you?
That is, yeah, exactly. My printers are running pretty much around the clock for whatever order I have at whatever time I'm running.
So Ian, for those of you who don't know, he works at Give Kids the World as their CIO, CTO, one or the other. And then he also runs the Maker Effect Foundation, which is a makerspace that worked with Christine Getman and I on the other thing. And then I am on that group as well, but I'm doing something a little different. Christine, I think you know this. I think some of you know this. So I have not been idle here. I've been actually working on a project, which I can share if you'd like to see it. I didn't plan on promoting this, but I might as well. There's actually, let me bring out a new window because, I planned so well here. So, and David and Caroline, you'll appreciate this as well. So my company, Lesson Picks, and Cough Drop, which are both members of ATIA. So Brian Whitmer are releasing this, which is free for anybody involved in COVID and lets people do a video communication while doing AAC around them. And so this will be 100% free, and you guys can go to covidspeak.org. For people who are intubated or otherwise unable to communicate. And Christine, I bet you could probably relate to this for us in that this probably just happened to you. That sound fair?
Yes,
And
absolutely. I mean, that's something that not many people are aware of, but because of coronavirus, every hospital has altered their visitation policy. So even folks with disabilities who are accustomed to a one-on-one caregiver or a family member to assist with communication, those, they're calling visitors, but they're much more important than a visitor. They're being denied entry to the hospital. So it was very stressful and scary, and I know I'm not the only one. This is affecting. So this tool, hopefully we can distribute it like crazy and kind of help bridge that gap for the faults that are happening in the policy.
yeah, I think so the goal here isn't to be, it's not primarily to be between the patient and the provider. It's to be between the patient and their family when they're at home or when they're separated. Because and the reason Brian and I did this is that we both have had family members, children intubated, and the idea of not being able to be there is just not thinkable, right? It's not something that we can process well. And so we both kind of dropped everything, and I had the idea. Brian has done all the work. Lori's done some work with images as well, but it is now ready to be trialed. We have a partner in Atlanta that is going to trial it with us starting tomorrow. And yeah, we should be getting that out soon. So if you are interested, go to covidspeak.org, fill out the form and hit the contact us, and we'll be happy to try and get you that. So we are all kind of turned in this direction right now, which is kind of a powerful thing. I love the fact that you guys are printing the ear protectors and the masks. I am frustrated that you have to be. This is silly. Why on earth? It's been too long for this. I'm okay with it for 3 weeks, but at this point, you could have stood up real production of this. Who's running this joint, right? So I am delighted that you guys are stepping up and trying to help fill that gap. All right, I think I have probably talked this to death, and I hope you all forgive me that I am wordy. Can I ask kind of everybody to see, at least all the kids first, turn on your cameras just so we can see how many people are involved here. And yeah, just we're gonna have enough. Everybody turn on your camera. We'll see if it works. We should be able to get 49 people on here. And how cool is this, that this number of people, and we've lost probably a dozen from our peak here, but I am delighted that all of you have been able to join us. And so from the bottom of my heart, thank you, kids, for doing this. I hope you win tomorrow when they announce the Chairman's Award regionally. And regardless, I hope you remember this when you go to college. I hope you put it on your essay when you apply to college, that you went to an international conference and presented, or and write an essay about the people that you've helped. It's huge. Don't underestimate this. Recognize how big it is and continue doing this wonderful work. So I think we're probably good. Anybody have something that I missed and didn't get said today, or are we out? I think we're good. All right. Well, in that case,
I like David Dichter's idea of giving an applause.
All right.
Since
all right,
we
we'll
can't
do
it the other way.
Look at that. All right, Eric joined at the end there. So,
because these teams have been incredible.
Luke, you have to do it. I'm sorry, you have to do the jazz hands. There you go. Josh, you have to do the jazz hands. All right, there you go.
David,
and Christine, you are exempt. So we are all good. I want to thank everybody for hi Eric. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. For those of you who are not on the Zoom, post any questions you have. These folks will look at all the social medias. We will make sure they get to the people who need it. I will tell you that if you are, I'm going to post a link to this video. If you're interested in working with your high school on doing stuff like this, I have a video on the ATMakers YouTube channel called How to Engage Your High School STEM Program. I will make a link for it. It really does walk you through the pitfalls and the crap I've learned over the last few years, like don't schedule something on a competition day and don't tell them this is more important than their STEM program. Watch that. It will absolutely help you navigate these waters, and it is so worth doing. So to all of the FRC teams, thank you for being here. To Wendy and folks at FIRST, thank you for starting an organization that helps this. And for everybody who came by to say thank you for coming. And obviously for the FRC teams, I'm really sorry that your season was cut short. I hope this does a little bit to make you feel better about it, because regardless, what you're doing is important. So, all right, good luck, have fun, and good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night. Thanks, Bill.
Bye.